Hogwarts Legacy introduces the Wizarding World's first trans character, but it's the trans activists who are upset. I rarely play video games these days, because once I get started, I get sucked in and end up wasting hours, okay, days of my time. And now that I'm married, I want to stay married. So falling into the same rabbit hole of video game addiction isn't really an option. But I have an incredibly successful entertainment and culture YouTube channel with over 4 subscribers, so I had a great excuse to dive in and take a look at Hogwarts Legacy, or Hogleg as we like to call it. And let me get this out of the way. The game is great. It's tons of fun, definitely a top 3 game I've played in the last year, though I've only played 2 games. But I don't feel bad about taking a break from Witcher 3 in order to try this one out. If you love Harry Potter, then you definitely want to pick this one up. The gameplay is fun and satisfying, exploring Hogwarts is everything you've always dreamed it to be, and broom travel is awesome. But this video isn't a review. There are plenty of people who have already gone into the nitty-gritty and come up with a number to tell you whether it's worth your time to play the game or not. Instead, I want to delve into the cultural implications. Ooh, fun. As I said up top, people are upset about the game's inclusion of the trans character Sirona Ryan.
Hello, my friend.
But it's not the religious conservatives raising the alarm. Well, they might be raising the alarm, I don't know, I haven't been paying that close attention. No, activists. The same people who declared J.K. Rowling to be an evil TERF, or trans-exclusionary radical feminists, if you don't keep track of all the hip lingo that's going on. These same activists are upset about the trans character the game developers shoehorned in to appease them. Now let's play Why You Mad? On today's episode we ask, why you mad about the trans character in Hogwarts Legacy? Is it A, because the character is the proprietor of a pub in Hogsmeade? B, because the character's name is Sirona, a goddess of well springs from Celtic mythology? Or C, because Sirona is a Mary Sue who has no faults and is a strong independent woman who don't need no man? If you answered B, you are correct! People are upset because Sirona starts with Sir, which is obviously a dig from developers that Sirona was born a man. Also, Ryan is a masculine name. Bonus points if you said if you take the last letter from the first name and you take the last name and you smash it together, it spells Aryan. You can't make this stuff up. Well, I guess they did, so. Despite the fact that the company bent over backwards to bow to the woke mob, putting the universe's first trans character into a major role to show they're woke too, people aren't happy, which is utterly ridiculous. Sirona is essentially shown as a perfect person who defends you from a villain while also being considerate, kind, and having lots of friends. Basically, Sirona is the second coming of Saint Mungo, and yet that's not good enough for the woke mob.
Who is it? It's an angry mob, ma'am.
Honestly, I gotta ask, who cares what a character is named? If they named a character Jewy McJewface, but he or she is a hero, a good person, and a credit to his or her lineage, then I'm not going to get upset about it. People have been pissy about the names in the Harry Potter universe for years. Kingsley Shacklebolt is an ass-kicking Minister of Magic good guy, and he's an Auror. In other words, he shackles prisoners and bolts them into Azkaban. But because he's black, people decided his name has something to do with slavery. There are 2 possibilities of name origin here, both somewhat reasonable, but activists insist on assuming the worst explanation is true. I don't see y'all focusing on the fact that his first name is freaking Kingsley.
I'm not dressed for royalty.
Many have also been upset about Cho Chang's name, claiming Cho is a Korean last name. But a tiny bit of research tells me this narrative isn't even true. Cho Chang, I definitely pronounced that right, is Mandarin for melancholy, which is kind of Cho's whole thing after Cedric dies. Maybe that's why she was named that. Also, apparently in Cantonese, Cho means autumn and is a somewhat common name in Hong Kong, a territory which was controlled by the British until 1997, the year the Deathly Hallows takes place. So maybe that's a reasonable explanation for where Rowling got the name. So, just like with Shacklebolt, there are other explanations for why Cho Chang's name is Cho Chang, other than Rowling being a racist or culturally ignorant. But people instead insist the problematic origin is the true one. What I'm saying is that people do more to perpetuate what they abhor by creating controversy out of thin air than if you would just let it go and didn't create these false controversial narratives. Now to tackle one which is closer to home for me. Some believe the goblins of Harry Potter are an anti-Semitic stereotype. First of all, it's stupid to lay this at the feet of J.K. Rowling. She didn't direct the movies, and while she may have had input, she didn't design the concept art for the goblins. Honestly, People making this connection is way more anti-Semitic than they think it is. You are the people who drew this conclusion out of thin air. You saw the big-nosed bankers and you thought, oh, they must be Jewish, without any evidence that Rowling or director Chris Columbus planned that. That is anti-Semitic, or as I prefer to call it because the term anti-Semitic was created by an anti-Semite, Judeophobic. It's just like the hard Judeophobia that the media demonstrated when they invented and popularized the term Jewish space laser. Now I know what you're thinking. No, that was Marjorie Taylor Greene. Au contraire, she made an albeit conspiratorial Facebook post which questioned whether fires in California could have been started by a satellite. She happened to mention the Rothschilds, among a list which also included PG&E, Solarin, and Jerry Brown. But the whole actually Judeophobic term, Jewish space laser, was created and popularized by the media as an attack on Green. She never even said the phrase. This is by no means a defense of Green. I'm not going to get into party politics. I'm just pointing out, like with the goblins in Harry Potter, many times the news media creates these Judeophobic tropes out of thin air and then screams anti-Semitism, while essentially popularizing the so-called anti-Semitism themselves. What a nice self-sustaining business model. J.K. Rowling is not without fault. She helped create the monster which is attacking her. She bent over backwards to make Harry Potter all-inclusive, retconning characters to be different races or sexual orientations just for political brownie points.
Ron was actually black.
You said he had red hair.
Harry Potter had Down syndrome.
What? What does that even mean?
Professor Snape was a single mother.
There's nothing wrong with diversity, and she couldn't have known. But the result has been anger from those who claim to not be included. The fault, however, lies with the angry, not with the person being inclusive. Harry Potter is a human story of love and loss, want and triumph. So we should all feel included in it by right of our humanity. The only reason you wouldn't is if you care more about your race or your skin color than your humanity. So what have we learned? Don't give in to a very loud but very small group calling for boycotts and censorship. Lots of companies can learn from this. The woke mob doesn't care whether you give in to them. It will never be enough anyway. So just don't. Just like the free market doesn't care as long as you put out a good product. Hogwarts Legacy is proof of this. In the first 2 weeks, it sold 12 million copies and grossed $850 million in revenue. Cancel culture. Because in the end, all people care about is quality, and quality will prevail, if you let it.
Pickles will prevail!
Thank you so much for subscribing and leaving a comment down below. If this video gets a bunch of likes, I'll definitely be doing more video game videos in the future. And if you're interested in other video game content, check out this video where I discuss the anarchy in The Last of Us TV show.